Welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice.
And I am Alfred Ocansey.
The news is also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. You're also streaming live on Facebook 3FM 92.7. Coming up in the next 90 minutes, Attorney General Alfred Dame insists on prosecuting Ato Forson and Richard Jakpa in ambulance purchase case, despite advice by trial judge to recuse himself in the interest of justice.
Meanwhile, the court has dismissed applications by the accused persons seeking a mistrial in the case. We have details of that shortly.
Also, citizen files an application seeking to injunct a petition to Parliament to probe Cecilia Dapa's case.
We've got some reactions on that. Plus, later in sports, crucial game for the Black Stars of Ghana as they play Mali in a World Cup qualifier tonight. We have the latest as well on campaign trail here on your Election Command Center. We'll also bring you the latest in business here on Hot Edition in the next 1 hour, 30 minutes.
But before the details, Grace Hamwajiman is standing by with a summary of the news. Grace.
Yes, Beatrice, let's get straight into it. And the Attorney General Alfred Dame has said that he's still prosecuting the case involving the minority leader, Dr. Ato Forson, despite the advice from the judge to recuse himself in the interest of justice and the public. He told journalists at a court proceedings on Thursday, June 6, that the judge only gave an advice. It was only advice. I am still prosecuting the case, he said. The trial judge, Justice Ifia Sewa Asaibuche, had advised Dame to recuse himself from the ongoing trial. The court has also dismissed the application for mistrial filed by Ato Forson. To other stories, the Volta River Authority, VRA, has revealed that it has suspended exporting power to Ghana's neighboring countries, namely Mali, Cote d'Ivoire, and Burkina Faso. The suspension is on the back of a directive by President Akufo-Addo in April 2024, when the country was experiencing erratic power supply. Director of Water Resources and Renewable Energy at the VRA, Engineer Abdul Wahab, says though it is a major revenue loss to the state, the directive has been carried out since May. And before we go, the Greater Accra Regional Minister Titus Glover has issued a stern warning to settlers at Ekomok at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle in Accra against rebuilding their structures demolished by fire. During a visit on Thursday morning, he stated that anyone attempting to rebuild would be arrested. This warning follows a fire on Wednesday that destroyed wooden structures near the railway line, causing a power outage in Adabraka, Newtown, and surrounding areas. This incident is the second fire in 2 years, with the previous fire in February 2022, prompting an unsuccessful evacuation order. That's it for the summaries.
Thank you very much, Grace Hamwa Achiman. Now let's get into the details of the stories. And an Accra High Court has dismissed all the applications filed by the accused persons in the ambulance case, including the application for a mistrial filed by the minority leader, Dr. Ato Forson. The applications were on quote-unquote application for stay of proceedings pending appeal, an application for inquiry into the alleged conduct of the Attorney General, and a mistrial by Dr. Ato Forson's lawyers, an application for an order striking out charges against the third accused, Richard Jakpa, an affidavit in support of the application by Richard Jakpa by the former Deputy Finance Minister. Now, the Attorney General had opposed the application for mistrial, stating it was unknown in the laws of Ghana. Meanwhile, the trial judge, Ifia Sewa Asariboche, has advised Alfred Dame to recuse himself from the ongoing case in the interest of justice and the public. Now, according to the judge, this was necessary to ensure judicial process was protected and to gain public confidence and not give perception that cases can be held at any other place except the courtroom. And Alfred, there was a lot of drama, should I put it, in court today with the Attorney General giving his own responses to what happened in court today, and should I call it the advice and not the order of the trial judge. But Lord Edwasare is a man who covered proceedings for us. He joins us in the studio now. Lord, just walk us through the proceedings today.
Right, thank you, Beatrice. So you know that between Richard Jakpa and then Dr. Atsuforson, they had put out 4 applications, right? Two of them were an order of inquiry into the conduct of the prosecutor, that is the Attorney General, and then a mistrial. And then there was also an application for stay of proceedings and another injunction restraining the whole process. Now, in her ruling today, Justice Ifeasewa Asare-Botwe dismissed all 4 of them on grounds that basically our statutes or laws here do not support the cases that the applications that they had filed. So, for example, when it came to the order for the mistrial, she indicated that in our jurisdiction, there's no statute that supports it because as far as our legal cases are concerned, mistrials have to do with cases that are being overseen or has the jurors in it. But in this case, where it has a single justice overseeing the case or hearing the matter, a mistrial cannot be used. And then there was the incident of the stay of proceedings as well as the order of inquiry into the conduct of the Attorney General. Now, with the order of inquiry regarding the conduct of the Attorney General, she indicated that looking at everything that after assessing all the documents or applications and then the evidences that they had attached, there were no criminal implications towards the Attorney General, and so she dismissed these applications. Now, with the way things have played out generally, she indicated that there was a lot of miscomfort, and looking at how things have been played to the public gallery, how there's been a lot of engagements in the media and the public. So she indicated, and that's where the advice came in, saying that in the interest of the protection of the judicial process and in order to gain the public confidence about how cases are handled at the courts, it would be in the best interest if the Attorney General, Godfrey Aboadame, steps aside or does not continue with the prosecution personally or directly, right? So that the judicial process will be protected and then things will go on smoothly as far as the public confidence is concerned. Now, when everything was done, we came out. I mean, I need to add this, that after the ruling, the hearing continued. You know that prior to the applications, Richard Jakpa, who's the third accused, was undergoing cross-examination by lawyers of Atsuforson. So once the ruling was done, the hearing continued, cross-examination continued, but then more applications had been filed, and so the case has been adjourned to next week, Tuesday. Fast forward, we come out of the courtroom, and you will see an Attorney General full of glee. He was smiling. He seemed confident. He was okay with the way everything had panned out. And then you will listen to him, because at some point you realize that he's singing. He actually sang a Methodist hymn to us. Yes. And rehashed the fact that from the last time he noted that the righteous
the evil will not overcome the righteous.
Exactly. So he's
well, let's take a listen to
Godfrey Dame.
I mean, you remember you were in court, the judge herself, even after the ruling, clarified that she has not given any such interpretation. There is only an advice. Yes. And what you did notice, of course, I'm conducting the matter, I'm still conducting the trial. The most important point today is that all the applications filed by the applicants have been dismissed. In their entirety, all the 5 applications are failed. And I think that in reaction to this, I would say that clearly shows that a group of people in this country who ride on manipulation of facts, distortion and deception of the public, they're always seeking to mislead and deceive the public. Today they've been exposed. That is what I say. I leave the rest to my friends. I mean, you remember you were in court, the judge herself, even after the ruling, clarified that she has not given any such interpretation. There is only an advice. Yes. And what you did notice, of course, I'm conducting the matter, I'm still conducting the trial. The most important point today is that all the applications filed by the applicants have been dismissed. In their entirety, all the 5 applications are failed. And I think that in reaction to this, I would say that clearly shows that a group of people in this country who ride on manipulation of facts, distortion, and deception of the public. They were seeking to mislead and deceive the public. Today they've been exposed. That is what I say. I leave the rest to my friends.
Dismissed all the applications filed by the first and then the third accused. The Attorney General is working out now. We can engage him quickly. What do you make of the ruling? First off, let's begin with the directive by the judge who advised you to recuse yourself from the ongoing.
Please stop this sensationalism. I think you remember you were in court. The judge herself, even after the ruling, clarified that she has not given any such order at all. And that is only an advice. And what did you notice afterwards? I'm conducting the matter. I'm still conducting the trial. The most important point today is that all the applications filed by the applicants have been dismissed in their entirety. All the 5 applications have failed. And I think that in reaction to this, I would say that clearly shows there's a group of people in this country who ride on manipulation of facts, distortion, and deception of the public. They were seeking to mislead and deceive the public. Today they've been exposed. That is what I say. I leave the rest to my friends.
So now that they've been dismissed, all the applications have been dismissed. Yes. How do you see this case going forward?
Well, today, when I was coming, I had a song in my spirit. Head of that church, triumphant. You know that song? Please. We joyfully adore thee. And then it goes on. Precisely. Continue. You have to play it in your radio stations. Head of thy church, triumphant, we joyfully adore thee. And I said to you that they will lay traps, but all the traps are free from them. And indeed, only righteousness will prevail.
Okay, wait.
There you have it.
Wait. Alfred,
Yeah.
do you know the song?
Yeah,
Anyway.
Head of thy church triumphant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's in the Methodist hymn book. Yeah.
Hymn
Wow,
number.
wow.
Okay, sure. But let's continue with the conversation. We just heard, just like you told us earlier, what the Attorney General just said. But beyond what the AG said, though, there were some other reactions from the court.
Indeed, so the NDC communications officer, Samujif, he was very displeased at how things had panned out. But then, of course, he commended the judge for admitting the audio recording into evidence, because the judge did indicate that the Attorney General objected to it, was noting that it was inadmissible, citing breach of privacy issues, and the judge noted that there hadn't been any denial as far as the allegations on the audio recordings were concerned, and so citing the peculiar circumstance, they admitted the audio into evidence. And so Samujin was happy about that fact, but then indicated that the judge got it wrong at the point where she indicated that Richard Jakpa was the one who indicated or cited that the AG was the one who was trying to implicate him. So this is what the judge said, right? She said she listened to the audio for about 10 times because she needed to be very clear on
What exactly was said?
had transpired. Good. So she indicated at the point, and she actually indicated the minutes that this conversation happened. That had to do with, the allegation had been that Richard Jakpa was saying the AG had coerced him to implicate Dr. Hatsuforsen. Mm-hmm. So after listening to the recording, she cited that didn't come from the Attorney General. So it was more or less like a leading question that Richard Jakpa had made to the Attorney General, and the Attorney General actually refused it. So she stated it, but then in response or reacting to the ruling, Sami Jemfin indicated that the judge got it wrong in that instance, and then he actually said that the whole point of the conversation between the Attorney General and Richard Jakpa was to convince him to come to the side of the prosecution, because otherwise there was no need or point of him calling Richard Jakpa in the first place. So he still was buttressing the point that indeed the AG wanted to coerce Richard Jakpa. We can listen to him, because he also indicated that they would take the matter up, since the AG had indicated that there are no statutes in the jurisdiction, and if they feel any agreements, they may have to take the case up, either appeal it or go to the General Legal Counsel.
I don't know of any new law or practice that confers jurisdiction on me, and proceeds to make argument. Where did the judge get those arguments from? When you did not allow the lawyers to move the application, you did not allow the lawyers to even argue on whether or not they think that the High Court in Ghana has jurisdiction to make such orders. Where did she get the arguments from? So that for us is problematic, and we totally disagree with that. Now, apart from that, is the issue of weight. You know, the judge went on to comment on the audio recording of a telephone conversation between Mr. Japa and the Attorney General. This is the audio recording we in the NDC put out through a press conference we organized. And I thought the judge, in her ruling, says that she has listened to the tape 10 times. And in the tape, the Attorney General doesn't make certain statements, but rather it is Mr. Japa who makes those statements about the Attorney General seeking to impress on him to implicate Atoforsen. The judge says that the Attorney General never said that on the tape. The judge also says that the Attorney General never told Mr. Japa to help him, and that on the tape, the Attorney General said he didn't need his help. Now, these are matters of facts that we think the trial judge got wrong. The judge was terribly wrong on them. And anybody can go and listen to the tape. Number one, if you listen to that tape, you will hear Godfred Dame telling Mr. Japa that if you agree to this deal, that is on the tape. You will also hear Godfred Dame telling Mr. Japa to testify his way, and that does not create any difficulty for Mr. Japa. He says that about 3 times on the tape. You will also hear Mr. Dame saying that if you agree to this, what were they talking about there? They were talking about letters of credit, which is the main issue at stake in this trial. Way she is advising or directing, whatever word you use.
What's an advice?
An advice can lead to a direction. Strongly advise. Since Ghana became Ghana, from the days of attorney generals like Geoffrey Bink, have you ever heard the courts telling an attorney general that I'm strongly advising you to stay away from a case? The attorney general in whom all the prosecutorial powers of state are vested, being told by a judge that I strongly advise you, stay away. This is a shame. This is a shame of a disgrace of monumental proportions. And it justifies calls, not just by the NDC, but even by neutrals like Professor Pierre-J. Neutrals like Mr. Insiasari, the former director of the Ghana School of Law. Neutrals like Martin Kwebu, who are calling for the resignation of this Attorney General. And people like my good friend Samson Ayenene calling for an inquiry into these matters. The judge, the court is scandalized, the court is embarrassed, the court is uncomfortable with the unprofessional conduct of this crooked Attorney General and says, stay away, stay away.
So you heard the communications director for the opposition NDC, Same Jemfi, speaking to journalists after this court ruling.
Well, yeah, and in fact, Lord Edwasari is still with us. Well, let me acknowledge the presence of private legal practitioner Martin Pebo. He's followed this case quite closely. Counsel, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening, Mr. Ocansey.
And just put it on record. One of our listeners has sent it to us on Facebook that song, that hymn by Godfred Dame AG is Methodist hymn number 411.
Oh, okay, yes. Because we asked Methodist which number it was.
411. So yes, just on the side of it. But Counsel, this is what's happened now, and you've heard all the detailed narrative put out by court correspondent Lord Edwasari. I understand that you were around the courtroom somewhere, you know, also in dealing with other cases, but at least you had an idea of what transpired in court earlier today. The judge says, well, on the basis of what I have listened to, I will not give you an order. I would rather advise you to stay away from the case. Now, the NDC and some other persons believe that that advice has given the AG a window of escape because he is not bound by this advice by the judge to stay away from the case. The Attorney General says, yes, I've listened to your advice, Madam Judge, but I am going to prosecute this case. Counsel.
So what we'll say is that, well, in the first place, the decision has shifted the needle just a little bit, not far enough. We're expecting more. So hopefully they will be appealing, because this area of the law is not being well developed. So we can't have just a decision there. So even though she's Justice Asariboche is a Court of Appeal judge, she gave the decision in the High Court. So we cannot have just a High Court decision in this area. Let the appeals go on and then see how it goes. Yeah, because you see, as I keep mentioning, elsewhere, US, UK, and even some African countries, South Africa, etc., they've gone far in this area. We haven't developed it. We are decades behind them. So I would say that an appeal is welcome, so that let the Court of Appeal look at it, and possibly to the Supreme Court, because we are now starting. We've not developed this area of the law at all. I would have stopped this trial one time. I would not batten an eyelid. I would have stopped it, because what Dami was doing on the tape there is damning. It's damning. You got those. It has a great impact on the trial. You see, it's damaged that as a country. Dami is not just any prosecutor. He's the Attorney General. That's one of the things we are not analyzing well. When we take on this case, I'm just looking, as I'm talking to you, I'm looking at the cases I read, the UK cases on this area, about a decade ago, etc., trying to write a book in this area. I don't remember any of the cases that involve the Attorney General himself, fingered direct. Not, this one is not fingered, totally on the tape like this. Yeah, I'm just looking. Look at the US cases, the UK cases. I don't see any case like that. You see, those are cases where you have ordinary prosecutors. So let's say the equivalent of, let's say, a state attorney, and some of them police involved. You see the IRA bombing, okay, Guildford 5. Those cases, usually it's the lower officers, not an attorney general. I don't remember any time that such a prosecutorial misconduct was ascribed to the attorney general direct. So this case cannot be compared. And you see, let me even say in the first place that the ruling didn't get the benefit of arguments from the lawyers. So in law, we'll tell you that a ruling that was not fully argued, no, we don't place too much premium on it. We don't play with this. Ask anywhere. If it were matters that have been coming before the court everyday matters, like non-controversial, yes, the judge will tell you that, this area there, we all know the law, so I'll just go ahead, fine. But this one is in the law of disclosure. It's not well known in Ghana. No. We've not developed this side of. I remember, let me tell you, even when I first filed, the first decision in this area, proper decision, Raymond, I've forgotten the surname, Raymond something. That time, this was the case. They did that case in the High Court, before the MPP came. Then, long story short, as we tried to take it to other courts, some judges weren't accepting it, right? So, long story short again, then I did some research and I saw that, that decision by Ajaz Nassam, which reviewed it, is correct. So as I that, then I saw that, Ghana, we are behind decades. Can you imagine, even countries like Gambia, Namibia, etc. Decades. South Africa, these disclosures we got in 2018, they did it 1995, Namibia 1993, etc. Kenya 2001, 2007, etc. So long and short, what I'm saying is that this area is not developed in Ghana. No, right. That one is incontrovertible, not well developed. So there was a huge problem when the judge didn't allow Sorry to move his application, because Sorry would have come with cases. Then let Attorney General also argue and come with cases. The judge said, the application is moved. You don't listen to the lawyers. How can you give a ruling? What ruling? How? So this decision, I'm sure they say it has to go on appeal. Let them deal with it. on appeal. I'm telling you, Ocansey, it's a specialized area. It's not an everyday thing. So I would have thought that you would listen to both parties because it's new. Look, our biggest decision on it is Bafuboni, Republic versus Bafuboni. That was 2018. One Supreme Court decision cannot deal with this case. Look, I'm telling you that when I filed my case on disclosures, when we go to the Supreme Court, I filed the same thing that Bafuboni was looking for 2 years earlier in 2016. I'm telling you that when I go to the Supreme Court, they look at it, they're like, hey, what is this? It's like, this plenty material. So it took 2 years for the hearings. We kept going. So 2016, 17, 2 years. Then just when they were about to give the decision, March 2018, that was when Bafuboni's case, that's the Republic, that one, the NCA trial. So that was when, for the first time, the case was called in the Supreme Court. So Justice Adimira said, Mr. Kwebu, you see what we've been telling you today. Now there's a live case. So what the Supreme Court at a point told me was that this matters, they want a case, a live one before the court, instead of people coming straight from his office to present arguments. You people, you are not before the court in any criminal case. You come with arguments. We've done people number 1, number 2, number 3. Can we get a live case? So when Bafuboni's case was brought, then the Supreme Court asked that people case I was in, they should put it aside so that they'll give their decision in the Bafuboni. But what I'm saying, the thing I'm telling you is that was 2018, okay? And the point is, even for the Supreme Court, it took 2 years for them to hear arguments. Today we go, we present arguments, say, okay, I'll see, we'll look at this, and go and come 4 months. And it took Supreme Court about 2 years to look at this area and to decide that, okay, should we adopt it for Ghana? It was difficult. So this decision, Justice Asariboche is rendered, it's about, in terms of seminal, after Bafuboni, okay, there's a Court of Appeal decision in Abuaji, but it wasn't, it was one lie by a prosecutor. So what I'm saying is that this decision Justice Asariboche is giving is quite a big one in terms of prosecutorial misconduct in the area of the law of disclosure. So what I'm saying is that they should have been allowed to argue fully so that they'll bring cases from all over the world to persuade the judge.
Even before the ruling is made, you would have expected that before the ruling, both judges, both lawyers would have been given that opportunity to, as it were, argue their case out, make references to cases before a ruling is given on this matter.
Yes, especially as this area is new. And I'm telling you that even when I started in the Supreme Court 2 years, we were going and coming. It was quite a battle. You go today, this, what is this here? What does this mean? Yes, after a year, go and come. Then we kept going. So I was surprised that the judge wanted to do the work alone. And if you do, you will say you can do it, but it's not complete. That's not how we do it. Listen to both sides. But if it's an area of the law, so let me give you one example. And that's 1815 of the Constitution. You hear the Supreme Court saying, listen, we are tied. Well, not the word tied. What they mean that we've given enough decisions in this area. There are more than 5. So we are no longer interpreting it. If you have any case, you can go to the High Court and start your case there. So what I mean is that so you see that the Supreme Court is clear that we've dealt with this 185. That's the one about the international business transactions. The fact that if it's a company involving foreign controls, then and wants to do business in Ghana, and government enters into a contract with such a company, you should take it to the Parliament for ratification, blah, blah, blah. So that area of the Constitution like this, the Supreme Court feels like, oh, they've given many decisions, so it's okay, go ahead. But that is different. Disclosures is new. We are still grappling. We are infants. We've not gotten anywhere. So such a serious matter, I don't see how the judge wants to do the work alone. It's not done. No. It's a new area.
I see.
It's a new area.
It's a very interesting and revealing point that you make, Lawyer Matupebo, about how we haven't gone too far in this area of disclosures, and then a very serious case such as this comes up, which bothers on disclosures, is now ruled upon based on the elementary stages that we are in in this area of disclosure.
The judge alone.
If you listen to Alice, how things play out in court, the judge admitted this tape in evidence with a view that possibly it would have enough weight going forward and may impact on this case. Does that give, especially the lawyers of A1 and A3, I'm talking about Dr. Atuforsen and also Richard Jakpa, then an opportunity to, as it were, make a case as this case plays out, especially because this tape was not dismissed, it has been admitted into evidence?
Well, listen, not much. You see, the better way to go is by appeal. Yes. But in terms of the judge in this particular case, no, that tape is not worth much, because the same ruling, the judge said that he doesn't see the bearing this tape has on the trial. AG had already closed his case and accused have been asked to open their case, blah, blah, blah. So if you listen to the ruling, or now it's how people are starting to read. Yeah, I was in the court there listening. Okay, it's not much. It's not much. No. So the better thing is to focus on an appeal, not continuing with the tape. As I said, for me, I think the contents are too damning to have just gotten an advice to the AG to recuse himself. No. This is too damning. Let this case go on appeal to the Court of Appeal and then Supreme Court. Because as I've stated, when it comes to this case, this area of the law, criminal disclosure, we need to develop it. So, and that's how those countries develop the law, piecemeal. So you can't have a high court decision on this very serious matter and then you end there. No. You have to go on appeal all the way to the Supreme Court. Then we know what all those other courts think about. That's how the law was developed in the other countries. And so we also have to follow suit.
Mr. Craig, with Beatrice here, obviously in your summary, the judge is saying that this tape is not worth much, as you just said. But I'm just wondering what you make of the stance, or should I put it, the attitude of the Attorney General saying that, well, thank you very much for your advice, but thankfully it is just an advice. I'm still going ahead to prosecute the case. And really what it says of him, particularly in this very case.
So it tells you that was the same attitude that got him into trouble in the first place, in the tape. That's the same attitude. Oh, he knows it all. He knows it. I can handle it. Yes, that's what got him into trouble. So it would be better that he listens to the judge, because it's a public advice. If a judge talks to you in public like this, hey, Charlie, I haven't seen something like that. That a judge will say, I don't think you should continue, and then you say you will continue. You openly defy a judge like that, Charlie. It's not something that we lightly do at the bar. Openly. The court was jam-packed, and the whole world is being informed. Like sometimes, let's accept that, I can't speak English like the Queen's, they say English. I want to speak Ghanaian English. So sometimes you have to bring in some phrases and proverbs from our old, local language. So I want to say, when the judge means chiffon planner is dangerous. You openly defy Penimu. The judge sitting in there says, oh, AG, I think based on what has happened, don't come here again. Wash your hands off this case, like the way Pontius Pilate had to. Say, wash your hands off this case. Then he said, look, I will come again. Oh, no.
Sami Jamfi, when he spoke to journalists, seemed to have suggested that beyond the advice, it could be an order. Is there a possibility like that going forward? Especially the AG saying, I'm not backing out.
It's not an order. When you say it's an order, then it's the time that he will say, I so order. And if the AG were to even continue after, like, after the ruling, they continued with the case. Then in that case, they could have even taken contempt charges, brought contempt charges against the AG.
So what I was saying was that this is an advice, but if he refuses to heed that advice, then the next thing could be an order. And I was asking whether there's a possibility like that, just for the purposes of education.
No. I don't see an order based on the same facts. No. So this is what we do in court. The judges looked at the facts and think that it's an advice. That's all. Unless something fresh happens, unless something new, like the way they promised that there are more tapes and more conversations. Yes, if those ones are brought up, then I'm sure the judge will move from an advice to an order, because right now this one has resulted in an advice. Next time another tape is brought in, I don't think it will be an advice.
I see. Lawyer Matibebo, and I know you have to run, but just a quick one before we let you go. There was this other aspect that the judge says, having listened to this particular tape 10 times, the allegation that the Attorney General sought assistance to implicate Dr. Keselatu Forson was not born from the Attorney General, but rather from Richard Jakpa. You have listened to part of the tape as well. Is it consistent, at least based on your own understanding of it, or of the judge's conclusion on this matter?
No, that's not what I heard. I heard clearly from the tape that the Attorney General was begging Richard Jakpa to toe a certain line, which Jakpa said, if I do that, it will be dishonest. And the Attorney General insisted. Then he said, listen, you want me to do it your way, which is different from Jakpa's way. And the Attorney General said, well, okay, let's put it that way. Though the Attorney General hesitated, eventually he agreed that yes, it is he, Attorney General's way. You know, so that one is not, the way the judges put it is rather not borne out by the tape. Yeah.
We'll see how things play out in the coming days. So an appeal is what you expect will be the next option for the lawyers of A1 and A3.
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you so much, Counsel. Appreciate it. Martin Pebo is private legal practitioner. Is following this quite closely. He expects that the lawyers of Dr. Keselatu Forson and Richard Jakpa will resort to an appeal on this ruling by the judge on this matter of their applications. 4 applications that were all dismissed earlier today in court. We'll see whether the appeal will be an option that they would consider, but we're already getting indication that it is indeed the route that the lawyers of Richard Jakpa and Dr. Keselatu Forson might likely take.
I think it will be interesting to see what happens next, especially when Martin Pebo explains that it seems we haven't developed all these aspects of our laws moving forward. So it will really be interesting to see what happens next.
Indeed, and so said, and still related to issues in court, but this time around, let's go to the courtesies of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ. And a private citizen has filed an injunction application against a petition to the Speaker of Parliament, in fact, to probe the case of the former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Abena-Dapaah. Now, the application, we understand this came in the person of Derek Edujemfi, who is seeking, among other things, a true and proper interpretation of the law to establish whether or not Parliament has a power to cause a probe into Cecilia Dapaah's case. Private legal practitioner Martin Pebo, security analyst Dr. Adam Bona, and some Ghanaians petitioned the Parliament to look into the case of large sums of money found in the home of Cecilia Abena-Dapaah. Now, they are asked in Parliament to set up a bipartisan committee to investigate how the Economic and Organized Crime Officers EOCO failed to do its work relative to this matter. The petition also said EOCO has been inconsistent with the public commentary and actions in the investigation. The development comes in the wake of the standoff between state anti-corruption agencies investigating the former sanitation minister over the stash of money. The OSP is on record to have stated EOCO lacks the appetite to probe the matter despite the detailed information shared with them. Now, Derek Edujemfi wants the High Court to stop Parliament from probing the case. I'm going to give you a brief of some of the reliefs that he is in court seeking. That the Speaker of Parliament of the Republic of Ghana has no authority to act on a petition seeking to question the exercise of the Attorney General's exclusive constitutional mandate to investigate and or prosecute an alleged criminal offense. Also, a consequential order restraining the Speaker of Parliament and Ghana, that's also the Attorney General of the Republic of Ghana and or Parliament, from in any way purporting to investigate, direct and or interfere with the exercise of the Attorney General's exclusive constitutional mandate to investigate and or prosecute an alleged person in the say. Let's speak to Executive Director of the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA. Mensa Thompson is part of the group that petitioned both Parliament and Shraj to investigate Cecilia Banadapa. Mr. Thompson, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Many thanks for having me, Alfred.
Now, so this is the latest to the petition to Parliament. A private citizen gone to court asking for an injunction on that petition to the Speaker of Parliament, questioning the locus of Parliament and the Speaker to even set up this bipartisan committee to probe Cecilia Dapa. What's your take on this?
Alfred, it's extremely laughable and extremely ridiculous that the Attorney General and Iyoko will go to this extent to cover up for their incompetence, their inefficiencies, and their desire to cover up this particular matter. It's extremely shocking that they will go to this extent to rent a private individual, to file an injunction application to stop Parliament from investigating a matter they themselves have decided not to go into, even though they have certain jurisdictions to go into the matter. It's extremely shocking, and I think it is important that we note this day down in the history. This is a stab in the back against the fight against corruption in the country. This is clearly coming from the highest level of the people who are supposed to augment the fight, especially two important officers of accountability who play a major role as far as the Ghana anti-corruption framework is concerned. I'm extremely bewildered when I saw the injunction application. What will be the interest of a private citizen that a matter which Ghanaians have utmost appetite to see the closure to it? What would be the interest of a private citizen to say, I want to injunct Parliament for investigating this matter and bringing closure to Ghanaians? What is the desire? And so clearly, you could see that this private citizen is a rented private citizen by the Attorney General. You could see, if you read the application that he filed, you could see that this application was scripted from the office of the Attorney General.
But he is making specific references to declarations that has bearing in the Constitution, asking whether or not the Speaker of Parliament and/or Parliament, for that matter, has authority to compel the Attorney General of the Republic of Ghana to prosecute an alleged criminal offense. I mean, why do you think that's a scripted, narrative from the Attorney General's office?
Alfred, this is just a game that is being played to us because the Attorney General and Iyoko are extremely scared of what is going to happen, of the things that are going to come out if there is any further probe to this matter, especially the things they themselves swept under the carpet. Alfred, let me even shock you. Alfred, let me tell you something about this Adapa case, which came to the attention of the Attorney General and Iyoko, which they swept under the carpet, which has never been reported in the media. Alfred, did you know that Madam Cecilia Dapa chaired the entity tender committee that awarded the contract to his brother's company?
Which contract exactly are you talking about, and which company are you talking about?
The contract of 800. We're talking about the contract of about $1 million. So here are the contracts which he chaired. One, the Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development Project (GARID), Greater Accra Metropolitan Area Sanitation Project (GAMA), Greater Accra Sustainable Sanitation and Livelihood Improvement Project (GASLIP). So these are the contracts that was awarded to the respondent's brother's company. She chaired the
Wait, so first of all, let's establish a few things. I'm coming. No, that's okay. My question would lead you to the details. Okay.
In the minister's office, this matter came to the attention of the Attorney General and Iyoko during the investigation, and they swept under the carpet. And there are more of these findings that they are just afraid that any further probe into this matter is going to reveal how they viciously decided to cover up this matter, and that is why they decided to cook, this rented company.
So, Mr. Thompson, you make a number of statements. You're saying that, and you are alleging, unless of course it's a statement of fact, that when the minister was in office as Minister for Sanitation, she chaired a number of committees. Contracts were awarded. Contracts were awarded to his. No, I beg your pardon. Please, let's not. Contracts were awarded to her brother.
Yes.
Her brother's company.
Yes.
How did you get to know that this company was owned by the brother? What's the name of this brother you're talking about?
The company is called Chalmers Company Limited.
Chalmers Company Limited.
The company is called Chalmers Company Limited.
Okay,
and the contract was awarded to it by the Ministry of Sanitation, Water Resources and Housing.
And it's owned by who?
The entity committee that approved this contract was chaired by Madame Cecilia Dapa. The meeting was held on the 6th of October 2021 at her office. She chaired the meeting that awarded the contract to his brother.
Okay, and you're saying you're saying the contract was awarded to her brother. What's the name of the brother?
Her brother's company.
So this Chama Limited you are talking about is owned by.
If you remember her defense in court, it is the same brother she alleges that the $800,000 that was.
So what's the name of this brother you're talking about?
I don't have the name of his brother here. I have the name of his brother's company here.
No, but you know the name of the company. You don't know the owner of the company.
Alfred, that's why I'm saying that this is information that is already filed in the affidavit. This is one that is already at the attention of the Attorney General and IOCO, which is a situation painting a clear conflict of interest. And so, Alfred, if you're
because you're making this statement. It is my responsibility to ask questions, because if you mention the name of a company and you say that the company belongs to Cecilia Dapa's brother, for the benefit of our listeners, I would want to know whether you indeed know the name of the brother who owns this company. So it would help all of us, is it not?
The specific name of the brother here, I wouldn't want to mention any name that is not specific to the company that we are talking about. But I'm saying that the company, and this is a matter that can easily be verified, Alfred. So it's not that we just want to throw that into anybody's side. It's a matter that can easily be verified. I've given you the name of the company, and I think that I would take our credibility very, very seriously.
Okay.
These are issues that we are very much aware came to the attention of the Attorney General. It came to the attention of the IOCO, and these matters were swept under the carpet. And there are many of these issues with the investigation. The investigations unveiled, which have all been swept under the carpet. And that is why when we petition Parliament and Shraj for them to look into the matter quickly, the Attorney General will go and rent somebody to go and file an injunction application, because otherwise this whole thing is just laughable, Alfred. Why would it be the interest of a private citizen to say that I don't want Parliament to investigate a matter which is of concern to the general population, which Ghanaians want closer to, because and a matter that has dented the image of this country to a very large extent.
I see, but beyond this, you together with 4 others have also petitioned the Commission on Human Rights and Reproductive Justice, that's Shraj, to look into Cecilia Dapa's assets, because what is stated as being stolen and the monies retrieved from her home are beyond what she earns or she was earning as a Minister of State. Is that to say that with all the moving parts of this case and the investigations ongoing, the matter of her assets so declared hasn't been touched on?
Yeah, exactly, Alfred. If you look at this issue, there are 2 dimensions. There is the criminal dimension, which the Attorney General and the OSP and then the IOCO, ought to have, exploited, to get a conviction. There is also the administrative violations in terms of public office holders. We know that we have the Shraj Act and then other relevant provisions of law, especially Alpha 0, the Public Office Holders Declaration of Assets and Disqualification Act, which all provide specific conduct for public office holders when it comes to these. So we believe that those administrative violations also don't need to be left out. As we find ways to pursue the criminal aspect, we need also to pursue the administrative aspect of it at the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, so that we get some closure, so that we know that, I mean, when it comes to Shraj, because of law, the position of the law, their sanctions may not be punitive enough, but at least it will provide a certain sort of closure and some precedent on how issues of this nature should be handled in future. I think it is important in the interest of law, in the interest of accountability, in the interest of the fight against corruption, so that we take these steps so that when they are judging Ghana as far as the global corruption perception index is concerned, when the issues of corruption happen, they take into consideration the actions that were taken by the state. And so the things that we are doing is trying to augment, the image, crisis that the country entirely might have suffered from some of these, corruption issues, so that we provide some closure also to the citizens who are also very much interested in this matter. And so we are playing our role as anti-corruption watchers, as civil society organizations, as public interest groups and individuals, to help in the fight against corruption.
Mr. Thompson, appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
A pleasure for having us.
It's the executive of ASEPA joining us here on Hot Edition.
Let's talk about some other issues, because the Water River Authority has revealed that it has suspended exporting power to Ghana's neighboring countries, namely Mali, Cote d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso. Now, Director of Water Resources and Renewable Energy at the VRA, Engineer Abdul Wahab, says although it is a major revenue loss to the state, the directive from the president earlier has been carried out, and this has been in effect since May.
Exports, whether the directive has been carried through. VRA is a state agency, and we're a law-abiding agency. So if there's a directive from government that we should do something, we do it. So that directive was complied with. So we realize that there's a history to it. There are agreements governing some of these things. For example, when it comes to Burkina Faso, that we supply power to, there's an agreement that requires us to export power to them. The transmission line that we talk of, the Boga-Waga transmission line, that is used to export power from Ghana to Burkina Faso. That line was funded by the World Bank. The justification for the project was for VRA to confirm and commit to the fact that we can supply power through that line to Burkina Faso without fail. That is the condition under which the World Bank made funds available for that line to be built. So we realize that these things are not just simple matters. There are a lot of agreements and decisions that are behind them. So when you are exporting the power, Burkina Faso, for example, it's upstream of Ghana. So what it means is that it's like there's a river flowing, and the water gets to me before it gets to you. If I block the water, you will not get the water. So Burkina Faso makes sacrifices so that Ghana will also get the water to come to Akosombo. So those were some of the concessions that were made. Okay, you can make better use of the water, so use it, but then in return, give us some of the power.
And I heard that the Director of Water Resources and Renewable Energy at the Water River Authority, Engineer Abdul Wahab. Let's get a quick conversation on this. We're joined on the line now by Nana Amoasia VII. He's the Executive Director of the IES. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening to you and to Alfred, and thanks for having me.
You just heard the Executive Director of Water Resources and Renewable Energy at the VRA. saying that essentially we have implemented the directive of the president for us to cut power supply to our neighbors, but this is coming to us at a cost. From where you sit, is this going to do more harm than good?
Well, if it is the case, then we will end up losing in the end, because just he recited, we're committed to exporting power to these neighbors, particularly with Burkina Faso connecting a main line that's financed by the French. And so if we decide to cut them off, then of course we are going against the very decision or agreement or commitment that we made. Also, if we do export to them, we will charge them for transmission of power. Those lines that were laid between us and Burkina Faso have to be paid for through the transmission tariff. And so, one, we may lose out on financing or the obligation to finance the transmission lines, and also probably some repercussion on us when we decide not to go with the commitments we made. However, I am struggling to understand or appreciate the position that since May, did they say since May or June?
Since May, that should be last month.
It cannot be the case. From the IES dashboard, when we look at the system loads between January up to today, we have constantly been exporting power. The present directive came somewhere in April. Let me give you something in let's say in before the present directive, let's say 16th March, we were exporting during the peak hour. We're exporting about 160 megawatts to Burkina Faso. We were doing about 79 megawatts to Benin. We were doing about 6 megawatts to la Côte d'Ivoire. This is before the present directive. And let's fast forward to, let's say, April 9th, at peak hour, we were exporting about 68 megawatts to Burkina Faso. To la Côte d'Ivoire, they were giving us some power, about 14 megawatts rather, and we're exporting 49 megawatts to Benin. Now let's come to 4th of this month being June. Interestingly, we find that we are still exporting power to these neighbors. And so we have not seen any absolute cut of export to our neighbors.
So you don't think that the VRA is telling us the truth?
When you look at the condition sheet, we are still exporting, madam. Today's system conditions suggest so. On the 4th of June system condition sheet from Greco suggests that we are still exporting power. So we don't know where this is coming from.
So why would VRA tell us that they stopped exporting since last month when, per what you're saying, you're claiming that per your data, we've been exporting since?
Probably they will come and contest this at the right time. But I'm giving you 2nd June at peak hour in the night. We're exporting about 130 megawatts to Burkina, to Benin and Togo, 44 megawatts. To la Côte d'Ivoire, we're exporting 69 megawatts at peak hour. On 3rd of June, we still exported 93 megawatts to Burkina, 187 megawatts of power to Togo and Benin, and on the 4th, on the 5th and 6th of June, we are still exporting.
Well, like you said, the VRA probably may have to come to us to explain what is really happening. But you made a point earlier, just to wrap up our conversation before we bring in the business news, about the consequences of this very decision. If you're taking the word of the VRA that indeed we've cut power supply to our neighbors beyond the commitment, do you think that whatever is happening in terms of negative consequences based on what the VRA is telling us could be a confirmation of fears earlier that if you're cutting supply to them, aside from losing the money, eventually when you're ready to go back to them, other suppliers would have taken over your market and you would lose eventually?
Of course, particularly with Burkina Faso, they may end up losing that export market. We are sure about that. Nobody will wait for you. If you are not able to ramp up the export or meet the export needs, they'll have to look for alternatives. But I think that the common sense approach is, because the issue at hand has to do with financing of fuel, and VRA gets their money quickly from the export market, they could rather have gone to this export market and ask them to pre-finance the power so that they have some money to also buy fuel to meet the export demand and also some part of domestic consumption. That arrangement, they can also explore that. But if they cut it out entirely, then of course they have to bear, some risk, losing revenue, losing the market, reputational damage, probably some form of. They could suffer from even the flow of water to Ghana, because the head of this water we use in Ghana comes from Burkina Faso, and we must be very, very careful in our approach to these issues.
Some recommendations there, but thank you very much. We'll have to end it here. Nana Moesia the 7th, he's the Executive Director of the IES. Thank you for speaking to us on this issue. Michael Obodu is standing by to bring us the latest in business. He'll be joining us very shortly. Stay with us.
Everyone is running to Bills. Enjoy the peace of mind that comes with acquiring any of our loan facilities. For whoever you are and whatever you're doing, Bills has a product for you. No susu, no deposits. All you need is your Ghana card. Call 0302-200-390 or 0596-928-33 today and live a bill-free life. Bills Microcredit is licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Lego was so cool.
Ready, set, go!
Calling all vendors, parents, guardians, expectant mothers and fathers. The 3FM Baby Fair is back. 3FM 92.7 presents the 3FM Baby Fair 2024. Your one-stop shop for all childcare products, clothes, toys, and child development products for 3 exciting days on Friday the 14th, Saturday the 15th, and Sunday the 16th of June 2024 at the Marina Mall Airport City, Accra. Are you a vendor or dealer in children products or services, children educational materials, or anything related to children of all ages? Then you need to be at the 92.7 3FM Baby Fair. To be a part of the fair and exhibit your product and services, please call 0531 100 927 and 0532 200 927 right now. Parents, make it a family affair at the 3FM Baby Fair with fun photo booths for family shoots, kids arena for the kids to have fun, and so much excitement. 3FM Baby Fair on the 14th June, 15th June, and 16th June 2024 at Marina Mall Airport City, Accra. 3FM Baby Fair is powered by 3FM, supported by TV3 and Marina Mall. 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio. 3FM Baby Fair is proudly sponsored by the First Bank Ghana, Cousins Baby, and Fidelity Bank.
Well, hello there, good evening, and welcome to the business segment here on Hot Edition. Coming up this evening, Ghana Shippers Authority moves to review its Establishing Act to enhance certainty in the industry. I am Michael Obodu. I'll bring you details of that and more shortly. Please stay with us. Well, let's head straight into it. And the Ghana Shippers Authority has initiated steps to review its Establishing Act in a bid to enhance the shipping industry in the country. The Ghana Shippers Authority Act 1974, which was introduced about half a century ago, according to the authority, needs to be enhanced to cater for latest developments in the sector. Speaking to the media during a meeting with industry players, Head of Business Development and Commercial Services at the authority, Fred Asiedu Date, stated that cabinet approval has been granted to undergo the process.
Areas, to address the arbitrary charges that we have in our system. We also are focusing on trying to ensure that instead of going through a negotiation process, we have a certain agreed tariff that is approved, and so we can introduce into the system some level of certainty and predictability. That is what business thrives on. And so the focus is to ensure that there is some level of certainty in the cost and charges space. One other thing we are seeking to do with this amendment is to have coverage for transit trade. Because even though the Ghana Shippers Authority has been in the forefront addressing and leading transit issues, that has not found expression in our establishment or enabling act. And so this process is to ensure that that space also is covered. Now,
so you heard the Fred Asiedu Date. He is the head of business development and commercial services at the Ghana Shippers Authority. Away from that, the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana is calling on government to control activities of illegal small-scale miners, popularly known as Galamsey, and that of chainsaw operators to sustain the ongoing Green Ghana agenda. Minister of Agriculture Brian Champon has indicated his Alfred plans to plant over 6 million trees tomorrow, June 7th, in all forest reserves across the country. The association believes it will be of no use if all the trees planted are later destroyed by activities of such miners.
What is the sense in going around to plant all these trees in the forest reserves only for Galamsey people and illegal chainsaw operators to go and cut these trees later? And that is why we are also again calling on government to set up. It appears like government has turned a blind eye when it comes to fighting activities of Galamsey, when it comes to fighting activities of illegal chainsaw operators. So we are urging them. We cannot invest so much money in planting trees only to sit down for all this group of people who are engaged in illegal activities, either through chainsaw operations or through Galamsey, to go back and cut all the trees. So in as much as we are planting the trees, we expect government to also be making efforts to ensure that the forest is actually preserved, because this is going to help mitigate the effects of climate change, which is very crucial to us as farmers. As we speak currently, if you look around the country, rainfall pattern is not the best for most of our members, and this as a result of climate change. So we commend government for the tree planting, but we call on them not to turn a blind eye to those who go back to the forest reserve and destroy all the trees that have been planted, because it will have a negative impact on agriculture.
So that's the president of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Wepia Adowala. Now, communications consultant and a board member of the African Prosperity Dialogue, Gehat Mensah, has underscored the importance of interoperability in ensuring women in Ghana's financial inclusion agenda. He made the call during a press briefing on an upcoming symposium by the network on scaling up interoperability using mobile money to buy and sell in Africa.
We talk about trade within Africa. 90% of that trade is driven by what we refer to as SMEs, small and medium scale enterprises, who do not really have the muscle to do the kind of movement of goods and services across borders. And so that should tell you how important interoperability will be to SMEs and eventually to African trade. The 90% of SMEs who are engaged in African trade, 50% of them are women. And we keep talking about financial inclusion and the extent to which women largely have been excluded from the concept of financial inclusion. It tells us the potential that interoperability has, not just for African trade, but also for financial inclusion.
So that was communication consultant and the board member of the African Prosperity Network, Gerhard Mensah, speaking there, bringing an end to the business segment here on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is sports, and yeah, they're on standby.
Vendors, parents, guardians, expectant mothers and fathers. The 3FM Baby Fair is back. 3FM 92.7 presents the 3FM Baby Fair 2024. Your one-stop shop for all childcare products, clothes, toys, and child development products for 3 exciting days on Friday the 14th, Saturday the 15th, and Sunday the 16th of June 2024 at the Marina Mall Airport City, Accra. Are you a vendor or dealer in children products or services, children educational materials, or anything related to children of all ages? Then you need to be at the 92.7 3FM Baby Fair. To be a part of the fair and exhibit your product and services, please call 0531 100 927 and 0532 200 927 right now. Parents, make it a family affair at the 3FM Baby Fair with fun photo booths for family shoots, kids arena for the kids to have fun, and so much excitement. 3FM Baby Fair on the 14th June, 15th June, and 16th June 2024 at Marina Mall Airport City, Accra. 3FM Baby Fair is powered by 3FM, supported by TV3 and Marina Mall. 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio. 3FM Baby Fair is proudly sponsored by the First Bank Ghana, Cousins Baby, and Fidelity Bank.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Oreku Ampofo. We're just about 45 minutes away from the crucial World Cup qualifier between the Black Stars and the Eagles of Mali. The lineup is in from Otoado. It's the first time that he is releasing a lineup as permanent coach of the Black Stars. Lawrence Atizigi would be in goal. It's a back five of Alidu Seidu, Tariq Lamte, Alexander Jiku, Mohamed Salisu, and then Gideon Mensah. In midfield, we have Thomas Partey and Abdul Salis Samid, and then up front is Enes Nyama, Mohamed Kudus, and Antoine Semenyo. And so that's how the Black Stars would be lining up against Mali. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. We'll be bringing you commentary of that game live here on 3FM as well, but that's in about 45 minutes or so. My colleague Bileshan is currently stationed at the Stade du Mars, that's the 26th stadium where the game would be played, and he has updates for us.
It's a very, very busy afternoon to evening here at the Stade du 26th March in Bamako. Still, some Mali fans are trooping in. It is expected that the stadium will be filled to capacity. There's still over 1 hour left to the start of the game between the Black Stars and Mali in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. The Black Stars have only earned 3 points so far and are 5th on the log, with Mali a few places ahead of them with 4 points and so far. Some Ghanaian fans from Ghana Supporters Union have already arrived and are seated and waiting for the match to start. They're really eager for the game to start. And I've seen a few journalists from Mali also really eager for the game to begin, because they feel that Mali has enough firepower to beat Ghana. Now, the fans of Mali have already been cheering their players non-stop since they stepped onto the pitch, and so with just an hour left, about an hour left, the fans are eagerly anticipating a very, very good match.
Well, thank you very much, Bill, who is currently in Mali, waiting for kickoff in that game. As I mentioned, there'll be commentary of that game brought to you by Kelvin Owusu-Ansah on 3FM. Match starts at 7 p.m. But still on the Black Stars, Fred Papo, who is the former chairman of the national team, is confident that the team can actually beat Mali in the crucial 2026 World Cup qualifying match. Papo led Ghana to a 2-0 victory over Mali in Bamako during the qualifiers of the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, and he believes the current team under Otto Addo can replicate that feat on Thursday evening.
So I'm quite hopeful, even though it's a fairly new team, but I think with the right focus and the kind of training they've done, I don't think this is one match I'll tell you I'm scared. I respect the Malians, the other good teams. They've been playing around for some time now, but I'm still very hopeful in this team and the technical direction of the team. So let's see, but I'm sure we'll get a good result.
And so from the Black Stars, let's head to other national teams, specifically England, because they've pruned their squad down to 26. They did submit an initial squad of about 32 players who camped at their base for close to a week. Southgate has made his final decision. 6 Premier League clubs actually would be having some of their best players, talking about the top 6 teams in England, having some of their best players in the squad as well. But surprisingly, Crystal Palace have the highest representation of players. 4 of their players made the final squad. Let's hear from the England boss on why he left out key players Jack Grealish and James Maddison.
All of the players took the news really respectfully. Of course, all players are going to believe they should be in, and that's why they're top players, because they have that self-belief and they have that mindset as well. But the fact is, we've got some players who have been playing extremely well all season in the league, and we just feel other players have had stronger seasons, and particularly in the last 6 months or so. I think we saw some fantastic performances the other night that underlined some of that, and the attacking areas of the pitch in particular, we're blessed with a lot of options, all slightly different. Of course, Madders and Jack both give us something different as well. So there have been tough calls. There have been calls that we've gone over and over and over as a group of staff to try to be fair, to try to get the right rationale. And you know, we back our decisions, but we recognise we could have gone a different route. And you know, both of the boys are big characters.
Also, that was England manager Gareth Southgate explaining some decisions behind his final squad for the 2024 Euros, which will be held in Germany. My name is Ore Kampofo, and that's how we wrap up the sports segment here on Hot Edition. We'll be back in just a few minutes' time to give you live commentary of the game between Ghana and Mali in the World Cup qualifiers. So do keep your dials locked in on 3FM 92.7.
Okwampo for them. There's more news on 3 Sports across all social media platforms. Make some time and visit 3 Sports across all social media platforms. This is your election command center across all media journal platforms. And we're live on Facebook, 3FM 927, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. This is your election command center.
And you're welcome to Campaign Trail. Let's start off from the NDC, and the flag bearer of the party, John Mahama, has given a firm assurance to members of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union that he would activate talks with the dormant Neoplan Ghana Limited to assemble coaches for drivers in a bid to reduce high operational costs. This came to light when the national executives of the largest transport union in the country engaged the former president on his policy proposals for election 2024.
Yane new plan for Bekasa. If you say your bus assembly plant or Ghana ha. Into sa buses no, yan kasa ebe to me assemble buses or ha. Especially large heavy buses no. Into yane new plan for Bekasa. Na yenya assembly plant or ha. Na yansu yeti me assemble buses no. And sell the buses in cedis. And yeah dollarization the be. Sell it in cedis so that nebo be from kakra neatimi Ediama unions, to operate transport operators to operate and pay. If you say share labor cost Ghana lower, Basa ya assemble or ha, the cost be lower chain Basa ya assemble or Germany. If you say Germany share workers ya assemble bus, no do market you ampo at the kanwa, na say bus nebo cost ro. Also, the parts number Hanaya Yankasa, ya assembler, a beman nebo aba from Kakra. Senebea, ya near the Ama unions, no, Namudia Yejuma, into Mutia, na yes, new plan near the buses, no for. Na big buses and small buses and so. HSA, Yade, Ebe Yejuma, Toyota highest size, no. And I say oven, it's an oven size, no. And also here, especially for urban transport, short distances, no. So buses, no, so here.
You have the flag bearer of the opposition, NDC, John Mahama. We move to the camp of the MPP because the flag bearer for the party as well, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is expected to name his running mate for the December 7 general election this month. Now, with just 6 months to the elections, pressure is mounting on Dr. Bawumia and the National Council of the party to let supporters know who completes the ticket for the MPP. Although names like the Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh and Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei Educhum seem to be front runners, a third front runner, Irene Na Toshi, has also come up. Martin Asiedu-Date has more in the following report.
The New Patriotic Party's constitution states that the vice presidential candidate shall be nominated by the presidential candidate at least 12 months before the general election when the party is not in government or the president is not the candidate. After winning the presidential candidature, Dr. Bawumia asked for more time to consult broadly before submitting the names of his running mate nominees to the National Council for consideration and approval. After a crucial meeting between the National Executive Committee and the National Council, the party's General Secretary had this to say.
Upon request from the presidential candidate that because his elections was done on the 4th of November 2023 he needs a bit of time to continue with his consultation before he brings the proposed name for running mate to National Council. And this was unanimously agreed by the National Council.
Sources within the NPP say the party has settled on a running mate from the Ashanti region to appease its stronghold, which has blamed the party for poor development. MP for Menchia South in the Ashanti region and current Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, who recently had a brush with Ghanaians over a demand for schedule for power outages, is reported to lead the lot. Another contender is Member of Parliament for Bosomtwe in the Ashanti region and current Minister of Education Dr. Yao Osei Educhum. He has led government's drive for STEM schools and implementing the flagship free senior high school program. The third possible person to be considered is Irene Natoshi Ado, former MP for Tema West and current administrator of the District Assembly's Common Fund. She is from the Greater Accra region and the only female contender under consideration. If chosen, this consideration could be to counter the female running mate choice of the main opposition, the National Democratic Congress, who have settled on Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. So we asked a session of voters if gender will be a factor to consider before voting.
No, it won't, because we need someone who can help their nation, not the person following him or her.
This time around, any party that chooses a female running mate is the party that I'm going to vote for.
No, it's not because of we've not have a lady as a vice president, that's why you are going to vote. You have to know who you are going to vote for. If the person is good, who can maintain the country very well, that's it.
The NPP National Council and Dr. Baumia still face the daunting task of choosing a running mate to complete the ticket for a major attempt to break the 8.
Well, so we'll wait for that announcement. We understand it's going to be by end of month.
Hopefully.
That's what Nana Komia is saying.
Nana Komia, yes. So he's the vice chair of Dr. Baumia's campaign team. And he's saying the vice president has already reached a decision on who to select and will make the announcement before the end of this month.
He was given no deadline by the National Council. And I was at the National Council meeting. We told him to take all the time he needed to make all the consultations that he felt he had to do. So, and when you put it in context, our main opponents, the NDC, John Mahama was elected running presidential candidate. It took him 1 year to announce his running mates, and it turned out to be the same person. So even whilst bringing the same person that he brought in 2020, it took him 1 year. Bami has been elected just about 6 months ago, so it's not that late. But I can assure you, in this month of June, he will announce his running mate. Or he'll bring a name to the National Council.
Do we know who that is? Because there are suggestions it could be the current energy minister or even the chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology now.
If we know, then there will be no need for announcement. We don't know.
But you say before this month ends, we should have a name for who the vice president's running mate is.
Before this month ends, you should have an announcement. As to who will be announced, we don't know.
Do we know the region the person will be coming from? Because that is what has been described as crucial going into the next general elections.
We are in June. This is the 5th or 6th. So another 3 weeks, we'll get a name. So I'll beg you to be patient.
You heard the vice chair of Dr. Baumia's campaign team, Nana Komia. So Alfred, end of this month. Is it going to be Napo? Is it going to be Natoshi?
Or Dr. Yose Duchum?
Perhaps yourself?
Obviously not. I mean, I'm not in the list for any of them. So...
I'm trying to remember who gave you a proposal on live radio.
Bernard Mona. Bernard Mona of the PNC. Can you imagine?
And you outrightly rejected that offer on live radio.
I love my job. Anyway, well, thank you. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Campaign Trail on your Election Command Center. There's more of it on 3news.com. Join me and the rest of the team at 10 p.m. on TV3 for Ghana Tonight. My name is Alfred Ocansey.
My name is Beatrice. Thank you so much for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Have a good evening.